Okay, here we go. We have Ricky Bell and his wife, Amy Correa Bell.
Hey.
Hey.
Ricky, huge fan.
Thank you.
Huge fan. You know,
Appreciate
I've probably done over 1,000 interviews, but the interviews I enjoy the most are from the artists that I was fans of when I was a kid. You know, when it was just so pure and
Yeah.
honest, where, you know, you're not part of the industry and know
good
the whole
times.
underbelly of it. When it's
Yeah.
just, you just purely love the music.
Absolutely.
And,
Thank you.
and I'm a massive, massive fan of your whole catalog.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank
Thanks
you
a
so
lot.
much for coming.
You got it.
So let's start in the very beginning. You're the youngest of 11 children?
Yes. I'm the youngest. I have 6 brothers and 4 sisters.
Same parents?
Nope. Oh, same mom.
Same mom?
Same mom, different dads.
Okay.
Yeah.
11 kids.
Yeah, I mean, and we all grew up in the same apartment or household, but it was like in the projects, we had 2 apartments. Like we bust through the closet of one apartment, and that gate put us into another apartment. So
Called a
we had both.
breakaway.
Breakthrough.
Or breakthrough.
Yeah.
You grew up in Boston.
Yes.
At what point did you start thinking that music and singing might be something you want to get into?
I was really young. We were just having this conversation a few days ago about, you know, my mom used to play a lot of records, old records around the house. Everyone from Larry Graham to Lou Rawls to Marvin Gaye. And, you know, just naturally I would just hum the songs and sing the songs. And I remember around 8 years old just thinking to myself, damn, I sound pretty good. And I knew that I wanted to sing. I had no idea of how to go about making that happen. I just knew I enjoyed singing and learning songs.
Okay. So originally the group was 3 people. It was you, Bobby Brown, and Michael Bivins.
Actually, yeah, you know what? We were the 3 that came up with the idea for
Okay.
New Edition. But the story goes a little, then I introduced them to Ralph.
Right.
And so it actually, so once we became a group, it was actually the 4 of us together.
Aha.
Right.
Okay. And were you guys New Edition in the beginning or no?
Yeah, myself, Mike, and Bobby were at a talent show. And we saw this one group, like you may have seen in a movie perform, called The Untouchables. And somebody told us that Brooke Payne was their manager and their choreographer. So we chased him down after the talent show and asked him if he would take us on. And he said, yeah, come to his house. The next day we went and got Ralph and we started rehearsing at his house.
Okay. And then you guys had a talent show. You know, this was kind of laid out in the biopic.
Yeah.
You guys had a talent show, which you didn't win.
Right.
You were in second place.
Yes.
But Maurice Starr was there,
Yes.
and he saw the potential.
Yeah, he saw the potential. There was another part, a little bit of a backstory in that movie that they didn't put in, but we had won every talent show that we joined in Boston. That was the last one for us to join. And so when we came in second, we were pretty devastated that we came in second. It was the first time we've ever lost a talent show. But after our performance, one of the judges called us up, like he wanted to talk to us, which he had his own production company, a guy by the name of Tony Rose. And he liked us and he wanted us to sign with him. So we think that he made us come in second so that we could sign with him.
Okay.
But he didn't know that once we went up to get our award, Maurice said, you know what, I don't care that they didn't win, I'm bringing them in the studio anyway.
Okay. You know what the interesting thing is that I was actually buying Maurice Starr's music.
Wow.
The Johnson Crew.
The Johnson Crew.
Johnson Crew.
Michael Johnson.
I had that album. It had like asteroids or something on it. It was like a space kind of cover.
Like Pac Jam and all that.
Pac Jam, exactly.
Yeah,
it was
there you
basically electro with like robot voices
Exactly.
on it.
Yep.
It was cool.
It was cool.
It was cool.
It was for the time.
For the time, the breakdance era.
Yeah, Boston
you know?
International Records.
Yeah.
There you go.
Didn't do all that great.
Right.
I remember that.
Not at
Didn't
all.
go gold or even silver or
None of that.
nothing
Right.
else like that. But he stayed with it.
Yes.
And he moved from being in that group to actually developing groups.
Yes. Yep.
So he signed you guys.
Yes.
Did he have, I mean, he had his own stuff before, but did he have any other success outside of the Johnson Crew?
Not really. Just, I mean, locally, everyone heard of Maurice Starr. Everyone knew the Johnson Crew. Everyone knew his brother, Michael Johnson, and, you know, and Arthur Baker as well.
Oh, okay. Arthur Baker. Yeah. That was
Yeah,
a
but
big name
outside
of
of that, I mean, because we didn't get further than Boston when we first started out, so we didn't really know too much about the outside world or what was going on.
Okay. So you guys formed in 1983.
That was when our first record came out.
Oh, but you got, okay, but
we formed
under Maurice Starr.
Under
and all the
Maurice Starr,
tours.
yeah. But
Right.
you know, we recorded Candy Girl probably in '81.
Aha.
It didn't come out until
83.
1983. Yes.
Okay. And you guys were going through the development,
Exactly.
artist development, which you don't really see these days.
Yes.
You know, learning how to sing together, learning how
Right.
to dance,
Yeah.
choreography, everything else like that. You guys put together your first album.
Yes.
Did you have any idea what you had on your hands?
No idea at all.
Okay.
I mean, once again, we knew we wanted to be a singing group, but it wasn't like it is today. There was no process. We didn't know what to do, you know, to try to find a record deal. All we knew was practice, join a talent show. We hooked up with Maurice, and even when he recorded us, he said, "Look, guys, I'm gonna record these songs and then go try to get you a record deal." And it was just through him, and it took about 2 years for that to happen. And even once we got the deal, we didn't know the significance. We didn't know how record deals were really supposed to work. It was like, here, this is your deal, sign here, sign there. And even once Candy Girl came out, it was being played on a local college station in Boston, WRBB, and they kept playing it over and over. But we had no idea this record was being played all over the country or even all over the world. We didn't know what Billboard charts were. We didn't know what R&R was. We didn't know any of that or how the business worked.
So Candy Girl comes out. It does good, but not to the extent of what you guys did later on.
Right.
Did it go gold or anything?
Well, it was on such a small label, Streetwise, out of New York, distributed by Polydor, and we, to this day, don't know the actual numbers of what Candy Girl did, how many it sold or
Gotta love the
anything.
music industry.
Exactly. They told us it was #1 in 5 countries, but I don't know.
Okay. And at that point, you start to go on tour.
Yes.
Now, were you guys opening for Rick James at that point?
Yeah, our first show we opened for Evelyn Champagne King,
Okay.
but our first tour was with Rick James.
Okay.
Yeah.
I read Rick James's book,
Oh yeah.
and of course, the Dave Chappelle skits and everything else like that.
It's all true.
I've interviewed Charlie Murphy. I've
all true.
interviewed,
Yeah.
you know,
It's all true.
you know, me and Dave Chappelle know each other and everything else like that. Was Rick as crazy as they made him out to be?
He was crazy. I mean, there's some guys you meet and, you know, like we're little kids and they would come and just like play, fight, box us. But Rick really like would throw punches like hard, like really hitting us. Like, come on, you little bastard. You know, we used to jump on him and
And you're how old at the time?
15,
So
14,
he's hitting you
15
like
years.
a
Yeah,
grown
he's hitting me
man.
like a grown man, seriously.
Charlie Murphy.
Exactly. Like he was real serious. And of course, you know, when he would come backstage, he would always smoke a joint and just around us like it was nothing. And we used to think to ourselves, I want to be like that guy when I grow up. I want to just be able to walk around and smoke weed anywhere I want to go.
Right, he had the skin tight leather outfit, the
Exactly.
cowboy hat,
And he was
tassels.
and he's just bossing everyone around. And of course, he invited us to his house, and we partied there and saw all the stuff.
What was the
as well.
craziest thing that you saw outside of the punching and everything?
You mean like with all the cocaine and the naked women and all of
So
that?
you guys were seeing that at 15?
Yeah,
Really?
absolutely.
So there was just naked girls walking around,
Just, you know.
doing coke?
Yeah, that was the life.
Okay.
I mean, we didn't do coke at the time. Not then.
Do you think that that kind of influenced you later on?
I don't think so. I think for me, because I mean, it scared me back then. And when I was growing up, a lot of my older brothers did cocaine, did crack, and I saw all the trouble they were having. And I saw, you know, just all the trauma they took my mom through. So for me, it was just a turnoff. I just swore that I would never do that. And I thought, you know, you hear the after school specials and all of that. And so I thought that I would be the one that would die the first time I tried it. So for me, it was just too scary.
So you guys go on this tour,
Yeah,
and you got songs on the radio and everything else like that.
yeah.
And I'm just trying to get the timeline right. I don't know if this is the first tour, or the second tour, the first album or second album, but you guys go on this huge tour, and you come home, and you get issued a check for $1.87.
Yeah.
That was the first album?
That was the first album. And it was no better than the second album, the third album.
Right. It's oddly enough that 187 is the police code for murder.
Exactly, right?
It was really $1.87.
Well, see, that wasn't the actual tour with Rick James. I'm just going to back up a little bit. We would go just to New York because we were still in school, just entering high school. So we would just travel to New York on the weekends to do shows. And we were too young. We played a lot of nightclubs, Copacabana, you know, Broadway International, Rosecrans in New York. And we would do shows. We did 2 or 3 shows a night, just hopping from club to club. Little kids in these adult clubs. And it was after that run that we came home and got to $1.87. And for us, we didn't know. We said, hey, you guys got expenses and, you know, you got to eat and your uniforms and the flights and this and that. And so we just believed whatever they told us.
How'd you feel when you got that check?
I was more afraid of my mom's reaction.
Okay.
Because I know that she would just get to cussing and going off and, you know, blowing her top. And
Okay.
I was just more afraid of that.
Because you guys were in the projects at the time?
Yeah. And to everybody else that we went to school with or our friends, you know, they would see us on TV, hear the songs on the radio. So to them, they thought we made it. They thought we were rich. I remember going to school and then being in gym class and going back to my locker, and my coat, my hats, my boots, everything was just stolen. And this was in the middle of the winter. And so to them, they just thought like, oh, you guys got it going on, because we had more than what they had. But, you know, yeah.
So you get off tour with these big songs and you're right back in the hood again.
Exactly.
Humbling.
Very humbling. And I wish they would have had this part in the movie as well, was when we got off tour and a tour bus actually led us back off the bus right back into the projects.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is after being gone for weeks, months.
So then you guys work on your second album.
Yeah.
And are you still with Maurice Starr at this point?
No, we moved from Maurice Starr. Gerald Busby signed us to MCA Records.
Okay, you signed directly with the label.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Supposedly. Supposedly.
Was there a lawsuit with Maurice Starr or anything? Or?
Well,
he probably had you for a multi-album deal and stuff.
I'm sure
right?
he did, but I still don't know what that actual deal was. But I remember there was a suit that was happening because he was trying to steal the name New Edition.
Really?
He was trying to take the name. He felt like he made it, but we had the name New Edition way before we got him.
Okay. So he left a picture.
Yeah.
Then he started New Kids on the Block?
Yes.
Which is basically you guys, but white.
Right. Exactly.
Which did phenomenally well.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So then you guys signed directly to MCA.
Yeah.
And you come out with the New Edition album.
Yep. Self-titled New Edition album.
Self-titled, exactly.
Cool It Now, Telephone Man.
That's when the really, really big songs started to come out.
That's when it really started to take off. Yeah.
When you guys did like Cool It Now,
Right.
did you know what you had at that point? No idea.
I mean, we knew we liked the songs. I mean, every time we'd sit around in these sessions, and the producers would come in and they would play ideas for us and, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And so Cool It Now was Vincent Brantley and Rick Teemus. I remember when they played for us, it's like, yeah, that sounds great. And for the rest of us, you know, what was weird was at the time, they would hand the lyric sheet to Ralph like all the time. And the rest of us
he was the lead singer, essentially,
he was the lead singer, but before we got with Maurice Starr, all the songs that we rehearsed, myself, Bobby, you know, even Mike and Ron at certain times would sing the lead on certain songs. So when we first developed New Edition, there wasn't a lead singer.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we would just take turns singing songs, depending on what song fit your voice or your style. When we joined the Hollywood Talent Night, Maurice Starr's talent show, we did a Jackson's medley. and that was Ralph. And so that's what really, helped us out with that deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the New Edition second album comes out and it
Yep.
goes double platinum.
Yes.
And this was with a real label that had
Right.
real accounting and
Exactly.
stuff like that.
Right.
Did the money come at that point?
Nope.
Once again, huh?
Man, I haven't seen a royalty check ever.
Well, I guess you found out after the fact that you weren't actually signed
Right.
to MCA. You were signed
To jump and shoot.
a production company
Production company.
who got to get the money before you did.
Exactly.
And you guys actually had to buy yourself out of that contract.
Yeah.
Where each of you had to kick in $100,000
Yes.
to get
Half
out
a million dollars to get out of that deal.
It was kind of like a mortgage.
Basically. Right.
You mortgaged
Yeah.
yourself to the label.
Exactly.
Okay. How did that feel to be $100,000 in debt after having a double platinum album?
Man, it felt, honestly, it felt normal because we were always in debt. So for us, it was just, in some sense, it felt good to be free from those guys. And it was almost like we looked at it like, this is a $500,000 lesson, right? Read your contracts. And even though it didn't change the actual deal or the contract we had with MCA, we were still signed for 7 albums or 7 years, whatever came first. Mm-hmm. So we're still stuck in the same deal, or the same deal points and everything.
Well, because going double album, back then, albums were selling like $15, $16.
Yeah.
You're talking about grossing 32 something $million just off the album sales, not including the publishing and all the tour revenue and everything. So you're talking about maybe $50 million in gross, and you guys are making nothing and have to kick in $100,000.
Exactly. And we signed all our publishing away.
Oh, you signed all the publishing away.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know what it was.
Nope.
That's one of the early hustles in the music industry.
Man,
that you don't need this publishing. It's not
Right.
important.
And I'm wondering why they're encouraging us to write songs. You guys need to write more songs. Yeah, here, sign here.
Because you signed your publishing away.
Exactly.
And that's where the real money gets made long term.
Absolutely.
Like, for example, I interviewed Sir Mix-a-Lot, who had a good deal, actually. You know, who wrote and produced Baby Got Back. And he said he's made over $100 million off that one song.
Wow.
He said he still maintains the same lifestyle he has today
Absolutely.
that he had way back in the day.
It's amazing.
The power of publishing.
Absolutely.
So the second album comes out, does extremely well, but then Bobby Brown starts having issues with the group.
Right.
Did you personally have issues with Bobby?
Yeah, we all did. Because we're so close. We spend a lot of time together. And I think our problems with Bob started, personally, was, I think it started mainly like on stage for the most part, because there was this issue when he was singing Telephone Man, he would just do something different every night. We didn't know how long he was gonna do the song, and I remember being
do the remix on stage.
we were in Oakland, and I said to him, I was like, yo, if you take that song any longer than what it's supposed to be, I'm just gonna cue the band to go into the next song.
Okay.
He was like, you better not, And he was like, all right, we'll see. Because he's singing Telephone Man, and we're back there like this, click every time it's supposed to go, but we're holding our hands up like this, waiting for the song to end. And it would get longer and longer every night. So I'm like, yo, end the song. And then he still did the same thing. He's going on and on and on. And I looked back at the band and gave him the cue. And they just dropped in the Cool It Now. And he looked back at us like if looks could kill, man. He took his mic and threw it up in the air. It almost hit Mike. He walked off the stage. And while we're performing Cool It Now, he comes back with his robe on, with no shirt, sits on the edge of the stage, and just all his name, then just starts beatboxing out of nowhere. And Mike, Mike is like, Mike doesn't have that many parts on songs. So he's beatboxing over Mike's rap. Mike's not having it. Mike's like, this is my only part in the whole show.
Yeah, you're not gonna mess this up.
And Bob is beatboxing them. So we're still on stage. Now it's just 3 of us, and Mike and Bob is behind the set fighting, tussling.
Like fist fighting?
Oh yeah, tussling, wrestling, like,
Huh.
had to be broken up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Bobby Brown's drug use start around this time?
Yeah, it definitely started then.
Cocaine?
I'm not sure what he'll put in the movie, but I think he's pretty open with it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, cocaine, what do they call it? When you mix the cocaine with the weed and the
Moolah?
cigarette and moolah, primos,
Moolah,
or whatever it is. And I remember going to his room one day, and he had one roll and a cigarette, and I just playfully took a hit, and it felt like my head just exploded. I'm like, whoa, like how can you do this,
That's
man?
not weed.
And so it was presented to, because you know what, to this day, I can honestly say I've never actually saw Bob smoke crack, snort cocaine, shoot. I've never actually witnessed him doing anything. I mean, I've been around him when he's been loaded, but I've never actually witnessed him doing drugs, to be honest with you.
But he was doing drugs.
Man,
Yeah.
I mean,
It is what it is.
I guess it's safe to say. But yeah, that was it, man. And we started noticing more like the behavior when we would go to the studio and we're trying to record, and he would just be passed out on the couch or laid on the floor, like right up under the speakers. I'm like, wow, how the hell can he sleep right there? Or we would go to vocal rehearsal, and he would just fall out as soon as we got to wherever we was going.
So the other 4 members had a vote,
Yeah.
and you guys voted him out.
Yeah, because our manager said, look, Bobby's hanging out with drug dealers. He's getting in trouble with the police. He's missing shows. MCA is going to drop you. You're going to lose all your endorsement, sponsorship, whatever it is that could happen if you don't vote him out. If he stays in the group, you guys won't have a group. That's the way it was presented to us.
Okay.
It was like we didn't have a choice.
So did every member vote yes?
Every member voted yes.
Okay. Who was the one that went to Bobby to tell him the news?
The manager did.
Oh, you weren't even there.
We weren't. I mean, we were at the airport when they told him, and it was rough hearing it. I mean, it was just, because we didn't even talk to him. It was just really weird.
Okay, so you didn't even get to see his reaction or nothing
No,
else like that?
no. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Wow.
Was it weird not having Bobby Brown in the group?
It was weird. I mean, it was a little pleasant not having all the antics of all the drama of not knowing if he's going to show up or not. That part was cool, but the group wasn't the same. It definitely wasn't the same. I mean, when we started off, the vision was a 5-man group. It was always to have one person singing lead and the choreography of the 4 guys in the back. So it was definitely different not having him.
Okay. So then Bobby signs a solo deal and blows up.
Yeah. But his first album, King of Stage, did not blow up.
Oh, that was his first album.
That was the first album.
So My Prerogative was
My
second?
Prerogative was the second. Don't Be Cruel was the second album.
Don't Be Cruel.
Yeah.
That was the name of the album.
Yeah.
That was a huge one. That was like
Absolutely.
album of the year and
Oh, yeah.
everything.
He made all of us jealous.
So you guys felt some type of way about it.
Oh, my God, yeah, because, I mean, we did All for Love. That was our third album. That was the first album without Bob.
Right.
And then we did Heartbreak. When we did Heartbreak, that's when he was recording with Teddy Riley and Babyface. And that tour, it was really weird because we went out on tour. It's a New Edition, it was the Heartbreak tour. And the first person we signed on to that tour to open up was Al B. Sure.
Okay.
So it was New Edition, Al B. Sure. Bobby was just getting off the ground. So he was the third person added to the tour, but he wasn't as big at the time, but he was blowing up fast. And I remember driving on to the venue in the parking lot, and we drove by some fans, and we let down the window. We was like, hey, what's up? Hey, they're like, hey, New Edition, hey, who y'all here to see? And they were like, Bobby Brown. I'm like, but it's our show. What are you talking about? We're headlining. But they were there to see him, and he blew up fast. And so it was hard for Al B. Sure, mostly because he had to go on after Bob. Bob opened up, and he had to go on after Bob, and it was really hard. He ended up quitting the tour.
Well, and that tour turned into a disaster.
Not the Heartbreak tour. The Heartbreak tour was amazing.
Which was the tour that Bobby was on that just
That was a Home Again.
That was before or after?
That was after.
After. Okay.
That was after everyone went solo, and then we got back together.
Okay, got it. Okay, so we'll get to that then.
Yeah.
You guys go and record the Heartbreak album.
Right.
That's when Johnny Gill joins the group.
Yes.
And Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis
They produced
it.
Yeah.
Who are, they came from Prince's camp.
Yes.
Did all the Purple Rain.
Purple Rain, The Time, Morris Day.
Morris Day, yeah.
Yeah.
Had they done Janet Jackson yet or no?
I think so. Maybe that was
Around the
kind
same
of,
time.
around the same time.
So they were just monsters. They were like the Neptunes of their day.
Exactly.
I would say.
Yeah.
You look at Neptunes in their heyday, that
Right.
was pretty much Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
But actually what turned us on to them was Alexander O'Neal.
Okay.
What they did with Alexander O'Neal and what they did with Human League.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. It was that sound when we heard, because that was the first thing we said to them when we got to Minneapolis was, we want a song like If You Were Here Tonight or Sunshine by Alexander O'Neal.
Okay, because Heartbreak is 1, 2, 3. That's your 5th album.
Yeah.
Because then you had All for Love, Under the Blue Moon,
Exactly.
which didn't do as well.
Right. Well, Under the Blue Moon was really just the movie Karate Kid.
Oh, okay.
We did Earth Angel for that soundtrack, Karate Kid 2, and it did well. So they said, you know what, this will be great. You guys should just do a whole album. So that album didn't even count as one of the 7 albums that we were signed for.
Okay.
It was just a specialty album.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when Heartbreak came out,
Yeah.
forget about it.
I think Heartbreak did better than what we thought it did because at the time, Bobby Brown and Guy were doing so well. And they came in with this whole New Jack Swing kind of a style to R&B. So that sound right there at that time was really taking off, and we were hungry. And those songs were really being played in the clubs, like Prerogative, Don't Be Cruel, everything that Teddy Riley did was being, and we desperately wanted that sound. I mean, we were good with the fans, and we were great on radio. We did good, but in the streets, it was Bobby Brown and Guy.
Right, but Can You Stand the Rain was on the Heartbreak album, which was
was
not that New Jack Swing sound.
Nah, it was huge for us.
But it was...
Yeah, and If It Isn't
Through the
Love, the video, like that really did amazing for us as well.
Yeah, and honestly, like the scene in the biopic for the recording of Can You Stand the Rain, like I must have rewound that like 20 times to watch.
Oh yeah, cool.
To watch
That's
that
one of my
over and
favorite
over.
scenes in the movie.
Oh
They
yeah,
did well with
that scene was
They did well.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. I guess at one point, when you were looking for new managers,
Right.
Don King and Al Sharpton were supposed to be your managers?
Yeah, they came and we interviewed them, and it was just.
How did that go?
I'm so mad they didn't put that scene in. It was weird. It was just really weird. Don King was like, "You guys are gonna be the greatest," and he was saying stuff like, "Just tell the world how great Don King is." And I'm like, "We're like, what? Like, just tell everyone how great Don King is."
You're the manager.
Like, talk about me, and you guys will be huge. It was just weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was Al Sharpton doing there?
They were partners at the time.
Okay.
I think, and you know what even made us want to interview with them was they were promoting the Jacksons tour.
Okay.
And right before that, the Jacksons were like huge on
Right.
the Victory tour and everything they did. So it was like, oh, maybe they could do that for us. And, it was
But you guys got together and said, nah.
Nah, it didn't.
Okay. So the Heartbreak album, how many albums did that sell? Multi-platinum?
I think there was 2, maybe close to 3 million as well.
Okay. Johnny Gill got thrown into the group without anyone really knowing, I guess.
No, we chose Johnny Gill.
Okay, but Ralph Tresvant didn't know?
No, he didn't know. See, because what happened was when Ralph told us he wanted to leave, we figured after the Heartbreak album, or after whatever album we were going to do next, that he was going to leave. And so for the 3 of us, we were thinking, okay, how do we continue after Ralph leaves? So let's get another member, another strong singer, so we can continue once Ralph leaves. We knew he was going. So that was
Right.
the whole idea of even putting another member in the group. But it just so happened MCA, they had Johnny Gill, but they didn't know what to do with this young kid with this adult voice. So it felt like a good synergy, a match at the time. We were trying to transition into a young adulthood out of the bubblegum sound. Johnny was trying to transition from, being this young man into, being able to get into mainstream. So that fit worked perfectly for us, but Johnny Gill was also signed to a solo deal. So then we found out once we were doing that, he's going solo as well.
Aha. Okay. There's a part in the movie, and I'm trying to remember who they were talking about, but he had a girlfriend who I guess dumped him, and he said because of his skin complexion.
Stacey Lattisaw. That was new to me. Like I didn't actually know that until I saw the movie. To be honest.
Okay, yeah. Right. Because I think she responded and was like saying that it wasn't true. She was upset. Who knows?
I don't know. Right?
Okay. After the Heartbreak album, that's when Bell Biv DeVoe formed.
Yes.
Okay.
And it formed because we were at the Forum. We did the last show. We're at the after party, just having a good time, mingling with everyone, and we're talking to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and it was just a regular conversation about like, what are you guys gonna do while the other two are going solo. And we were just shooting ideas. We never said we're going to perform a group. We just said, well, we'll try to get into management or more the business side of the group, of the entertainment business, maybe producing, writing. And they just casually suggested, why don't you guys just become a group? And we thought, that's a cool idea. And we just took it and ran with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Ralph Tresvant was going solo.
Yes. Johnny Gill was
going solo.
Yeah. And Bob was
already solo.
Exactly.
Okay. And I'll be dead honest with you. At the time, I was still like in high school and stuff like that. I was not a New Edition fan like that because it was really the girls liked New Edition.
Right.
But I absolutely loved Bell Biv DeVoe. Because I was a hip hop head.
Right. Thank you.
And it was such a, what I didn't realize until doing my research is the Bomb Squad were doing the beats.
Oh yeah.
And that's Public Enemy.
Yes.
America's Most Wanted, Ice Cube.
Exactly.
And
that's what drew us to them. That sound, what they did on Ice Cube's first album, and just Public Enemy, just the aggressive of the bottom, and just it was just noisy and head banging. We wanted that, but with hip hop grooves and be able to put melody on top of that.
Right. So Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis weren't involved in that, or
not at all.
Really?
Because listen, at that time, it was like you got with whatever producers based on the budget that you had to work with.
Okay, so you couldn't afford them?
No, we couldn't afford him. We couldn't afford him. We couldn't afford Babyface. We couldn't afford R. Kelly, Teddy Riley, none of that. They gave us at the time what was considered a new artist budget, which is actually a lot, would be considered a lot today. It was $350,000. But back then, that was just considered a new artist budget.
Yeah.
So we had to work with, a lot of the new producers, new writers, whoever we could just get off of relationships.
Okay. When you recorded Poison, did you have any idea what you had on your hands?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. When we heard the demo was like, it was on a cassette and it was done on an 8-track. It was really trashy. But what hit us, what really stuck with us was the snares, just kind of just noisy, just running through, and the harmonies on the verses. Girl, I must warn you. And then it just kept coming at you. I'm like, oh, that's different. That's us.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first song we recorded either.
It wasn't.
It was one of the first songs we heard, but one of the first songs we recorded was a song that didn't even make the album by Timmy Gatlin, used to be in Guy.
Okay.
He was one of the original members. He wrote a song for us called Weak in the Knees. That didn't even make the album. But he also helped us produce I Do Need You and Smile Again with Wokey Stewart. Those are the first couple songs we recorded.
That's actually Cool G Rap sampled in that song also.
Yeah.
Poison ended up getting sampled for Bell Biv DeVoe's Poison.
Right.
That must have been a nice little check that comes every so often. Or very often.
Absolutely.
That song comes out and it's forget about it. It was, it was really a whole new sound. Right. It was really like, I guess, this was the first real melding of hip hop and R&B.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
Absolutely, because we I mean, we had all these other songs, like what they called safe songs on the album that we could just send to radio, and we felt like they would play right away. But we knew as far as our image, like we wanted to dance and we wanted to be in the clubs, like for once. And we felt like everyone, they didn't know what to expect from us anyway. So we felt like we could really take a chance. Like we don't have anything to lose by coming with this. But it was a battle trying to get that song as the first single with our label. We had to fight with them because their radio guy was like, I can't get this played. I've already tested it with program directors. And back then, they didn't even play rap on the radio.
Right.
You
right.
know, when you had
that.
a song, an R&B song, you had to take the rap out.
Right, because there were no hip hop radio stations back then.
Not
There was
at
no
all.
KMEL or
Nah,
yeah. This is
none
all
of that.
before then.
It's all before then.
Aha.
So we had to fight for that. But what we did was we saw a video by Third Base, and they were in the train station, and it was just really a bugged out video. And we said we want that. We went and chased down that video director, a guy by the name of Lionel Martin. So we found him, and we shot the Poison video, and we took it to Donnie Simpson at BET. So we said, let's go with the video first for a few weeks before we send the song to radio. So it kind of blew up on the streets first, and then.
Yeah, back then when you actually had MTV and BET and videos would launch songs.
Right.
Not so much anymore. But back then, that's how you would.
That's how you
would launch a song.
Absolutely.
That Bell Biv DeVoe album went 4 times platinum. So it outsold the New Edition albums
Yeah. Yeah.
with less members.
With less members. And I will never forget it. I was on the 101 freeway when I got the call, because our goal for the three of us was like, man, if we could just go gold, we'll be good. That's all, because nobody's expecting us to do anything. So if we could just sell 500,000, 500,000, we'll be straight. And I remember it was literally like the album came out on a Tuesday. It was like a week later, they told us we were already at like 400,000.
Right, because you had, well, if you include Under the Blue Moon, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 albums you'd already dropped.
Right.
Was there any money at this point?
I mean, for the Bell Biv, not from...
I mean, before Bell Biv DeVoe.
No. I mean, the money that we made came from touring.
Okay.
Touring and merchandising.
There was
That was
touring
it.
and merch money, but no record sale money.
No record sale
Wow.
money.
After
No.
millions
No.
of albums sold.
Exactly.
You never trust a big butt and a smile. You can still hear that today.
Right.
That became part of the,
Yeah.
part of the dialect.
Exactly. Right.
And really, that album had a lot of big songs on it. Like, it was, I literally listened to the whole album. And I definitely bought that album.
Yeah, when we tour today, it's like that's the song. We do most of that album and a few new songs here and there.
Yeah.
But that album is like a blessing and a curse, because it's a blessing because it's still feeding us today. The downside is sometimes you can have an album and a song that's so big, you just can't follow it with anything. No
Okay.
matter how good the records are after that, it's like people are they're just stuck with that.
I mean, it's so big.
Right, and I feel like we're actually better performers now. Vocally, the way we write, the way we, entertain is like we're more seasoned now.
Yeah.
Our last album, I think song for song, as far as melody, as far as performance, is probably our best work. But you would never know that because Poison, that album, Poison Do Me, Thought It Was Me, Smile Again, is
Yeah.
soul was such a monster.
On the song Do Me, there's a lyric in there which I always found kind of strange.
Right.
It was a backstage, underage, adolescent, how you doing?
Right.
What's the meaning behind that verse?
Exactly what it says. But you know what though? Busta Rhymes wrote that.
What?
Busta Rhymes wrote that.
Okay.
We were in the studio with the Bomb Squad, just vibing, and he came in one day. And when you record with those guys at the Green Street Studios, it's like everybody and their mama, that like cats would have their whole crews up in there. We were not used to that. They're just smoking weed and everyone's just vibing, just freestyling, vibing. And Busta came in one day, and he just went and got on the mic and said that, and Ron was like, I'm using that. That goes. For us, it was more just like the flow. It was just the backstage under it. It was just how it sang and how it flowed, which was just so catchy for us. At the time, we didn't even really think about so much what we were actually saying, but we knew it was controversial,
Well, are you talking about the girl or are you talking about yourselves?
meaning both. Both.
Like, who's underage? Is the
No,
girl
I mean,
underage or
we
you guys
weren't
underage?
underage. It was just, it just sounded like a great story. It's not an actual true story.
Okay, I got it.
You know what I'm saying?
These
It's
days,
just-
that lyric wouldn't fly.
Right, exactly. Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at
the
all.
Me Too movement. No,
Yeah,
it's not.
no.
Okay. And what was interesting about that first BBD album is that which song that actually reunited the whole New Edition core group? Because there's a song with Bobby and Ralph T on it.
That was Word to the Mother.
Word to the Mother,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
So that was dope.
That was a song we did. We decided too that we, even doing that, it was our plan to get back with New Edition. So we wanted to always have that song that kind of paid homage to where we came from, and to kind of give a shout out to our boys, and that hopefully we could, on the remix album, get everyone to come on and be on that song with us.
Right, yeah. I remember there's a remix album that I bought as well. That was dope.
Thank you.
Yeah. So were you still close to Bobby and them during the whole time?
Actually, we were, because when we recorded Poison, we played it for Ralph. We went over his house, and then that was actually right before that we heard Prerogative. Like when we were doing the Heartbreak album, we were playing each other's songs, and Bob played Prerogative.
Forget about it.
Oh my God! I was like, turn that off, man. This guy right here, man. That dude right there, man. That song just made us just like, we went bananas when we heard that.
Was that around the time that Bobby and Whitney started getting together?
Yes, yep,
Okay.
it was.
So you have, Whitney at that point was music royalty.
Exactly.
Like she was the biggest
Yeah.
female artist in the world,
Oh, yeah, basically.
basically.
Yeah.
Basically the Adele.
We
of
didn't
that.
believe him when he first told us, to be
Oh,
honest.
you thought he was just
No,
lying?
I mean, we all met. We did Nancy Reagan had the Say No to Drugs campaign, Dare, right? And we all did a song. There was like a song, like a We Are the World.
Oh, okay.
Kind of a thing we did. It was a bunch of different artists there, and that's where they met. I mean, they probably met before that and started flirting, but that's when we all saw her. And after that, he was like, yo, she's on me. And Bob is like, he's a fabricator. He can tell some lies. So you never know when to believe him. And when he told us, that was like, man, get out of here. It's like we almost didn't believe him until we actually saw them physically together.
Well, yeah, because this really was kind of an odd couple.
Yeah.
The two of them.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
no one saw that one coming.
Nah, not at all.
When you saw the drug use start to happen with him and her.
Right.
And you heard different stories.
Right.
Some stories that he got, he's the one that got
Right.
her into it. Other
Right.
stories, because her mom had a bad drug problem as well. What did you see happening once you saw that type of combination?
I don't have any knowledge of who did what or who started, who got who on it. Like, I don't know that. I wasn't there for that. I just remember when they came out with that reality show, Being Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to watch. I couldn't watch it. Just seeing him, like, you know someone, your friend, and then seeing him in that state, it was just like, I never watched any episodes of that show.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it was a one and done.
It was rough, man.
Yeah. When did your drug use start to happen?
After the Home Again.
Okay.
After that run.
When you guys reunited.
Exactly, when we reunited. I was just experiencing a level of anxiety that I've never experienced before. Our process for going on tour was we rehearsed choreography for 3 to 4 hours. We would go rehearse with the band for a few hours, do a vocal rehearsal, run the first half of the show, record it, watch it, critique it, run the whole show, production rehearsal, dress rehearsal. That was the process before every tour we went on. For this particular tour, there was not one run through of rehearsal. it was just a whole, we just winged everything. So just my anxiety was like, oh my God, like,
What are we gonna do?
how are we gonna do this?
Yeah.
And then on top of it, there's 6 tour buses. So I'm looking at the budget. I'm like, we're not making any money off of this. This is insane. And then on top of it, it was like Bob would show up late, would show up loaded, or would just not show up. Arguments every night. And then I get home. And at the time, like I had, we had business managers. They would like pay our bills for us when we're on the road, and we get home, there's no money. My house is in foreclosure. I don't even know how to refinance or anything like that. And so all of these things are coming down. But I meet this beautiful young lady.
During that time.
During that time, this was after Home Again.
Okay.
And her and her mom was just so amazing for me. They came in and she just didn't judge me at all. She helped me move out of my house and move into an apartment.
Okay. Because you actually lost your house?
Yeah, I lost my house. I lost my cars.
Wow.
Everything.
Everything.
Everything. And what little I had left, I moved into an apartment, and we weren't even working at the time. Everyone went their separate ways for a while. And one day we decided to do ecstasy.
I decided to do ecstasy.
Okay.
For me, it was like I was still trying to front like I had it going on, because I was still going to the clubs and partying, just doing, drinking and smoking here and there. But when I met Amy, we started going out. One of her friends, she was in a singing group called Girl Society, who I kind of encouraged her to, be signed with MCA and helped her with her contract and everything like that. So one of her friends said, hey, you guys know anything about ecstasy? Can I, get some? And so I started asking around, and we found it, and her friend took it, and Amy wanted to try it. So Amy tried it, and she loved it.
He liked the reaction I had.
Yeah, she just looked like she was having a good time. Yeah.
He wanted to try it. He wanted to feel good like I was feeling good.
Yeah. And so I tried it. That was actually the first drug I tried. Outside of marijuana and drinking, it was ecstasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried ecstasy before.
Yeah.
It's a fun drug.
Yeah, and it was amazing.
It was.
The next day is not so much fun.
Right,
but
right.
When you're on it,
The first time in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So it was amazing. So that
Yeah.
was my gateway into cocaine.
And you guys were a couple as he's going through all this stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you taking drugs as well?
We started out taking ecstasy together, and then that was part of like our social go to clubs. Sometimes we would take ecstasy. It was more of a social thing, and it wasn't like we were heavy drug addicts. But yeah, it definitely had its course. So it was like, okay, now we're kind of overdoing it. But towards the end of that, Ricky started to use ecstasy sometimes without me. So that's kind of when it started getting weird. And then the dealer, he gave us some free cocaine one time just to try. And we had it for a long time. And then one of the days when we were high, just like, want to try it.
Yeah.
And that just ended up being his drug of choice that got him. But Ricky's never been like an addict. To me, initially, he always drank just a little bit. You only smoked a little bit. You were never like the guy that got drunk or really high.
Right. But the cocaine was like,
That was just the drug.
for some reason, the reaction that I had to that, the allergic reaction I had to
Right.
that was, once it got in my system,
That was.
the choice wasn't mine anymore. It was just
Yeah.
like, it was on.
Yeah, I had a close friend of mine overdose and die at 23 from cocaine.
Wow.
And at the funeral was when I said I wouldn't try cocaine.
Right.
And I've been around it. I've had people offer it to me, but it was like I always think about that funeral.
Yeah.
And I think
Absolutely.
if cocaine could do that,
It's not
then
worth
it's
it.
probably not worth it.
Right. Exactly.
So I never tried it myself. But
Wow.
Good.
you
Good
guys,
for
you tried it as well, Amy?
Yeah.
Okay. But you
mean-
didn't have the same reaction as Ricky.
Yeah, I didn't like it. It didn't last very long. The come down was terrible. And with ecstasy at the time, there were these little pills, and they had a bunch of stuff in them. And it would last like 8 hours
Yeah.
and then wear off. But like cocaine's like 8 to 15 minutes. It's like, this is
Basically.
stupid. No
Then you
wonder
need some
people
more
are
cocaine.
sniffing all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you need some more cocaine.
Yeah,
15 minutes
exactly.
later,
exactly.
and
Now
then-
you're an
Yeah.
addict.
Now you're an addict. Exactly. Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
That's right.
Yeah.
It really is.
You feel super confident on it, but when that stuff wears off, you were like, I'm a loser. This is terrible. Life
Okay.
sucks.
How did you get over it?
It took me probably 16 years of going in and out of different rehabs or, back and forth from sober to, relapsing. There was at one point my first rehab, I went to a 30-day rehab. And I mean, at that time, I still didn't know the significance, the depth of how bad it was or how strong the addiction was. Because the day that I got out, I called my dealer. After 30 days of rehab, I called my dealer.
So you got out and got some more coke.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so for the last 16 years, it's been a thing of like, okay, I'll get 6 months sober, relapse, 5 years sober, relapse, back and forth. 6 different rehabs. I don't know how many different relapses over the last 16 years, but even now, I sit here at 2 years and 7 months sober.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, I interviewed Fab Morvan from Milli Vanilli, and we were talking about the death
Right.
of Rob.
Right.
And a lot of people think it was a suicide, but he thinks that
My dude was on his way to India to sober up 100%, and he was in a program in Germany that was paid, I think, by Frank, because Frank was courting Rob to do whatever it was he wanted to do. And for some reason, man, the day of his departure, my dude partied his heart out. So that makes no sense to me. You're about to sober up, but in the mind of an addict, nothing is really clear until you're out of the tunnel. So maybe just like back in the days, we were like, yo, we're gonna stop for 1 week. So we go cold turkey, 1 week, nothing. But the week after, it's like, man, double up, bro, double up. So, maybe it's one of those, like, I'm gonna do one last time.
That could have happened to me too, because every time before I went into treatment, I did I had a big run.
big Scarface pile on
Absolutely.
on your desk.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. How hard, Amy, for you was it to deal with this person that you love and you're seeing him just can't get this monkey off his back?
It was really hard. I mean, as difficult and painful that you would think or imagine, it was all of that because it's someone you love, and when you put drugs in the picture, at any point in time, he can go to jail, he could get hurt, and he could die. So I was always faced with, oh my gosh, I could lose the love of my life. I could lose my best friend. So it was always life or death. I lived in a constant state of life or death, which definitely was just like traumatic. It definitely altered my personality for sure.
Right.
What was the lowest thing that you did for cocaine?
That I actually did for cocaine?
Yeah.
Probably just sold everything I had, even down to one time I remember selling my boots, my Timberland boots.
Really?
That had I designed myself. They had like my initials and autograph and just something that I was just keeping. And I remember one day just looking around the house for whatever, like finding old video cameras to whatever it is I could take to the pawn shop or give to the dealer to get $50 worth or whatever.
Wow.
For me, that was like the lowest. And even then it was just, like it didn't register to me at the time, like, oh, this is low, like this is my bottom. I think my bottom for me was more physical and emotional and mental torment of just the heaviness of the pain of, I would use so much that there was a time that I would call her and say, hey, I'm just letting you know I'm using right now and I'll call you when I'm done. Just to, I don't know what that was. For me, it was just kind of a manipulation just to say, look, don't worry about me or whatever. And then it got to the point where when I would try to call her, I couldn't even speak. Like words wouldn't even come out. I was up for 3 or 4 days using, so I couldn't even form. It was like that. It was just like horrible. And then she comes in the hotel, and I got all these towels and tissues that are just all bloody all over the place from blowing my nose, and you know, just on, and I can't even stand it. I'm just beating myself up again, and I got a backpack just full of cocaine and pills and just every drug you could possibly imagine in there. And it's just, they call that a demoralizing, incomprehensible demoralization.
Yeah.
That bottom of just, it's just really ugly.
Well, at one point you guys decided to get married.
Yeah.
And I guess it was a double marriage with you and Ralph Tresvant?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a double wedding.
Yeah, they were in love at the same time we were in love, and we were just talking about it together.
Yeah.
And we were casually talking about getting married. We're like, let's call Ralph and Amber and see if they want to get married with us. They were like, yeah. Do you remember that?
I remember that. Yeah.
And they were into it, so we're like, you know, it was very casual, but
Yeah.
it kind of felt like the right thing to do because Ralph and Ricky were best friends.
Yeah.
Right. But you were still using it at the time.
Yeah, that was actually the beginning.
Yeah,
that was
his
still
using was not
that
out
was
of-
still because
not
we've
out
been
of
married
hand.
for 14 years.
Yeah.
So that was the very beginning of my using. I mean, it was still, I was working hard at keeping it a secret. So, you know, like she knew that I was still dealing with it, but still didn't know the depth and how serious it was for me because I was doing a lot of hiding. The night before our wedding, I stayed up the whole night using that night. So once the wedding started, I hadn't even been to sleep in the last 24 hours because I was still up.
Wow.
You know, so that's when it actually really started to take off and get heavy for me.
Now, Amy, you were singing yourself.
Yes.
You had your original group,
Yes.
and then another group with Megan Good.
Yeah, I'd been in a few groups. When Ricky and I were just friends, he was my friend in the industry that knew about contracts. So I was an actress at the time. I had an audition to be in a group that was already formed by MCA that they had money behind. And I asked Rick his opinion. He's like, you should do it. Like, you should audition. You'd probably get the group. And so he helped with that. That was my first group on MCA, which was weird because we went in to sing for Randy Jackson, like just kind of the same way they went in. Like we sang on the spot. They're like, yeah, you guys got what it takes. So it was really old school, but apparently we had a worse contract than they had. So
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Did the project actually come out?
that Girl Society group did not come out. We did a small tour. We did our first pilot for a reality television show, which was new at the time. But the lead singer decided to go solo, like right at the last minute. She didn't tell us. She told the president of MCA, who then also stepped down. So we got dropped.
Okay.
And that's actually the beginning of when we started doing Ecstasy too. So I needed an outlet. But from there, I started working with my brother and my friend in a group called Craze.com. We did a bunch of shows around LA. And Megan is my best friend. So her and her sister would always come to our shows and they loved it. And they said, hey, why don't we just do a group together, like the four of us?
And that's the Hello Girls?
That's the Hello Girls, yeah.
Okay.
Which we named off of a Bell Biv DeVoe song.
Aha. Okay. And did that album come out?
2 songs came out.
Okay.
It didn't quite manifest.
Okay. And you guys don't have any kids?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Neither one of you?
No.
Any reason for that?
So this guy's on tour year round.
I guess it just hasn't happened
Yeah.
for whatever reason. But we're actually going to plan it at the
After
end of
this
this
tour.
tour.
Okay.
We have
And-
to plan it now.
Yeah, and we're going to renew our vows after 15 years, which will be next September. And hopefully she'll be walking down the aisle pregnant.
Okay.
Well,
All
I'd like
goes
to
to
wear a
plan.
dress without being pregnant.
Right.
We'll see about that.
Last year,
Yeah.
I believe it was last year, the New Edition biopic comes
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, one of the greatest biopics, music biopics
Thank
of all
you.
time, up there with the
Thank you.
Jacksons.
Thank you.
Biopic.
Thanks a lot.
I agree.
Appreciate it. Thank
You know, TLC one was pretty good also, but I think that you guys were definitely in a,
Yeah.
you know, and I think it really made people realize that, you know, New Edition is one of the greatest, if not the greatest R&B group
Thank
of
you.
all time.
Oh, wow,
You know, we
appreciate
started like
that.
going like, you know, Jodeci was phenomenal
Absolutely.
as well, and
Yeah.
there's other great groups, but like New Edition,
Right.
you forget how big of an impact they made.
Right.
Did you know how good of a project this was going to be?
I mean, we started the process, what, 11 years ago?
11 years
11
ago.
years. Just started writing it with Jesse Collins and Abdul Williams. And we had a deal with Fox, with Paramount. And Bobby didn't sign, and that's why we didn't end up doing that. And it was for a feature, you know, so it was actually going to be in the movie theaters. But I guess it wasn't meant for it to happen at that time. I like the way it happened now with the 3 nights. It was able to, you know, introduce us to, you know, another generation. So we didn't know. We had no idea it was going to do that well.
Right.
You
And,
know.
and it seems like Bobby's always been kind of the odd man out in a lot of your projects. Because when you guys got back together for the Bad Boy
Right.
album,
Right.
he wasn't part of that.
No, he wasn't. That was Puffy's decision.
Oh, Puffy didn't
Well,
want it?
actually, because you know what? It was kind of a, you know, let me say it was a mutual decision at the time. We weren't clicking at that time. You know,
Okay.
we weren't really talking like that. And it just kind of, when we were on tour, it was the 5 of us, you know, the New Edition. And then, you know, Puffy would just come to certain shows and we kept seeing him around. And one day after the show, he came up to the dressing room and said, you know, I know you guys been seeing me around. Here's the reason why I want to sign you to Bad Boy. And that's how that happened. So Bobby just wasn't in the picture at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he in the picture now, though? Because you guys reformed under Ronnie, Bobby,
Yeah.
Ricky, and Mike.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and the reason for that is after the New Edition movie, we wanted to go on tour with the 6 of us, along with the cast.
Yeah.
You know, the bigs, the littles. And we just really wanted to blow it out and do it, you know, major, like we've never done it before, because we felt like now is the time that we can really do it. So like everything that we've ever been through, now we can capitalize off of all of it.
Right, but Ralph Tresvant and Johnny Gill were not with it.
Yeah, and you know what? And all respect to those guys, because you know, and I don't want to say anything that will hurt, because I believe that New Edition is going to come back together. So I don't want to say anything that would deter that from happening when it's supposed to happen. And I'm sure when you talk to those guys, they'll have their reasons.
Yeah.
But for us and for me on this side of the table, when we're trying to call them to talk about the record deal, to talk about the tour, to talk about the promotion for the movie and everything that it takes, they're a no-show.
Right, and you can't even use the New Edition name when you're touring, I guess.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't want to use the New Edition name without all of New Edition anyway.
I mean, Wu-Tang always tours without members.
Right. I
present
mean,
and stuff
to be
like
honest
that.
with you, that wasn't even a thought. It was never a consideration for us to tour as New Edition without all of New Edition.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, that wasn't an issue. The Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike thing came because we weren't able to get it together and tour as New Edition.
Yeah.
We're always on the road as Bell Biv DeVoe.
Aha, okay.
You know, Bobby
Got it.
Brown is always on the road. So for us, it was just a discussion like, hey, Bob, what are you doing after your movie? Are you going to go out on tour? Yeah, you know what? We are too.
Let's do it
Let's
together.
tour together and do one show as opposed to making it BBD and then Bobby
Bobby-
Brown.
yeah, Bobby
let's
Brown, yeah.
let's make it all one show. You know, because for one, financially it works out better for all of us. You know, if we put together one show.
Sure.
And we could use one crew, one band, one production, you know, it all makes sense. And it's kind of a rebranding. And then it clicked to us at that time, like, oh my God, this is Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like that light bulb went on later after we decided to
That's
come
the
together.
line from Cool It Now?
Yeah,
Does Ralph Tresvant actually say that line?
yes he does.
And he's not in the group.
Right.
For now.
But we, you know,
irony
like
of it all.
I always say, you know, nobody's kicked out of New Edition. We don't
Right.
do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's just we have
Okay.
other entities that we can tour as, and that's what we're doing right now.
Well, being married
Something like
14
that.
years and being
Being
together,
around
what,
each other,
20
yeah,
years or
around
something
We've known
like
each
that?
other 20 years.
You guys finally decided to collaborate on music.
Yeah.
Why wait so long?
Actually,
I'll let Ricky answer.
I felt like I've watched her with you know, Girl Society, and with the Hello Girl, Sterling Amy. And when she started to develop her own style and her own music, I just went in to listen to her songs that she had been producing with Bosco, and I really liked what I heard. I was really impressed with it, and I just came in to give her feedback on, you know, what she was doing, and that's when the idea sparked for me. Like, I'm like, wow, like this sounds amazing. I want to be a part of it. Let's do a song together. So it came more so from that idea.
He felt like it'd be better for him to introduce me.
Yeah, like, you know, like,
Yeah.
let me introduce you. And so that's when we came and we did the song Gold.
Right.
And I guess it seems like once we did both versions of Gold, it kind of took on a life of its own.
Yeah, and Megan Good directed the video.
Yeah.
Both.
She directed both videos, and it seems
She's known us since, she knew me before I met Rick. She was there when we first met. She's seen the ups and downs. So for her to hear the song and see what we were doing, she knew I was just looking for a director. And she's like, why didn't you ask me? Like, I know you guys better than anybody.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you're making good. I didn't, you know, want to put that kind of pressure on you because we're best friends. But she took our story to a whole nother level and really was able to bring light to a lot of the stuff we've come through.
Right.
Because when the biopic was out, we're like, well, our business is already out there. So what are we going to write about?
Right.
We got to come real with it. We have to be authentic.
Right.
So Gold was written basically kind of like our triumph story out of where we come from.
Right.
Right. And you have your own song, Disguise,
Yes.
as well. So are you guys have a project coming out together? Or?
Well, eventually we will. We just recorded another song together called Motion, because like I said, when we did Gold, it wasn't a plan to do a whole project together. It was just to do
Just
a
that one
song.
song.
But we've gotten so much positive feedback from that and people interested in our story after the movie and the song that now we decide, you know what, let's go on and do a whole project together. So I'm going to work on a solo album, and she is as well, and we're going to do a
Keep
lot more
working
things
together.
as well.
Plus, I think we didn't realize we'd work so well together. So
Right.
as Ricky's helping me
Yeah.
with my solo project, he's helping me write on some tracks. He gives me ideas and vice versa. And then we're able to work together.
Right. And I just think now, like you asked why now, but I think where we are spiritually, where we are in our relationship, and where we are just creatively in general, you can't really predict that. And just now the time is right to where everything is falling into place.
And out of everyone I know, this guy's like early to every rehearsal, you know, packs 3 days before it's time to leave. He prepares. He's such a perfectionist. And then he sees me, I'm like working all day, every day in the studio, every night, mixing, editing, writing. So I think we both kind of have that crazy work
Yeah.
ethic that we were like, okay.
Because I remember I saw a video of you and I forgot who else was with you, but you were blasting R. Kelly because he showed up late to a show, or
They made that, they like blew that way out of proportion. No, we were on a cruise, on a Tom Joyner cruise. And, you know, Tom Joyner, like there's different people performing every night. And we went to go see R. Kelly perform. And he was doing a bunch of songs that we didn't know. And we're just talking like, man, you know, we didn't even know somebody was recording us.
That's so wrong.
And we're like, man, dude, you know, where's My Body's Calling? Where's, you know, Bump and Grind? Where's, you know, come on, man, get to the hits. And it was more of that kind of conversation.
Got it.
But listen, R. Kelly as a musician,
phenomenal.
as a songwriter, as a singer,
Woo.
come on now.
Faithful.
He ain't got to prove nothing to me.
Right. His personal life, though.
That man is bad.
Right, the
And no
personal
comment
life,
on his personal
not
life
so
either.
much.
Ouch.
Did you hear his 19-minute I Confess?
I heard it.
Dude, he likes it.
You like it?
I mean, I like it in the sense of like this
Melodically.
guy is like, he can sing about anything.
He
Right.
could sing about using the toilet.
And
the
it
melody's gonna
kept
be
like
catchy.
he kept my attention the whole 19 minutes because
Yeah.
one, I wanted to hear what he had to say,
We all did.
and melodically and musically, it sounded great.
Yeah.
It's R.
So,
Kelly.
it's R. Kelly,
It's
right?
the Pied Piper,
Don't do.
Yeah.
doing his thing. So what's next for you guys?
Like I said, we just finished a song together called Motion.
Yeah, we're getting tracks from other producers right now. We're about to record more music together,
Yes.
work on our solo record. But the main thing is we are getting our story written down.
Right.
And we're
Yeah.
planning to get super raw and just
Right.
tell everything because it's really interesting, actually.
It's to tell our story of, trial and error and ups and downs and everything we've been through personally and as a couple and the redemption of all of it in hopes to inspire others that are, may be going through the same thing. But, I mean, we have so much. We're going to tell this story in a very unique way. I don't want to give that away, but it's going to be raw. And eventually you'll see us performing together and on tour together and
Yeah.
babies.
This
and
guy,
the whole
as a
nine.
solo artist, the world hasn't even seen. He's
Oh, you're the
so
best.
amazing. I'm excited.
You're the best. Thank you.
Well, I mean, at this point, you have sold how many albums altogether?
Yeah.
15, 20 million?
Right.
Something like that?
Something like that.
The body of work is absolutely incredible.
Right.
The impact.
Yeah.
I mean, you throw Poison on
Yeah.
to anybody over 30 years old, and
Right.
the place goes crazy.
Right.
And just the other songs and the ballads and everything. I mean, it really must feel good to really look back on.
It does, man. There's a lot of moments that I'm proud of. When I see, a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old dancing to Poison
Yeah.
and just know that we could have never even planned that or predicted that in any way. There's a whole lot more to be grateful for,
Yeah.
than the not so proud moments. So I'll take all of it.
Well, and I think it's also a lesson.
Yeah.
Where you see someone sell that many albums and then they
Right.
lose their house and have to move into an apartment.
Yeah.
It just shows how important it is to keep your business
Absolutely.
right from the very
Right.
beginning.
Absolutely.
And that's an important story in and of itself.
Yeah.
But like I said, the body of work speaks for itself. It's
Thank
something
you.
that's going to continue way past your time here on earth.
Yeah,
And I
thank
think that the legacy that you leave, I think, is really so important.
Right. Right.
And like I said, I'm a huge fan
Thank you.
myself. I
Thank
was really
you.
looking forward to doing this, and I'm glad
Man,
we finally
thank you.
got to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Thank
Thanks
you so
a lot.
much for the both of you for coming in.
I appreciate you for
pleasure.
your time. Thanks
Peace.
a lot, man.